I'm going to show off my Tornado Shots build that I've been putting together for the past couple of weeks. It takes about 300 divines put together, maybe more, maybe less. Depends on the market, depends on the bases. Most important thing is make sure you have a Headhunter before you even think about doing something like this, because, I mean, you could do it with Mage Blood, but I prefer Headhunter because I like mapping builds. I'm not real big on bossing. I think it's kind of lame, but I'm going to take you through some of the build here. Now, the important thing is for running Omniscience, you really want to have 25% Omni because that's going to make getting the requirements much easier. It's not necessary. You could do it because I mean we're honestly running like an insane amount of Omni 1690. I just do it. It's just a rule of thumb. Whatever. We're running Fizz Conversion. Bow attacks fire 2 additional arrows. This is a pretty easy crafted bow. Basically, you start with bow attacks, fire 2 additional arrows as a suffix. You slam Essence of Contempt until you roll T2 or higher hybrid Fizz and accuracy. Lock the prefixes. So just prefixes can't be changed. Slam a Veiled Orb. Hopefully you roll a prefix. If you do, cool. You're pretty much good from there because you can just go over to the crafting bench and then just do prefixes can't be changed again. And then I do add speed mod, and you can either hit projectile speed or attack speed. So if you roll the wrong mod, then you can obviously just annul 50/50 by doing prefixes can't be changed again and just get rid of it. But if you get attack speed, I mean, honestly, T3 or higher is fine. I could technically re-roll this bow later, so it's no big deal. After that's done, you can do strength and intelligence, increase crit chance. If you don't have that if you don't have that crafted mod, you can get it by just buying veiled, like, two-handed weapons. Super easy. Once that's done, just divine it a couple times. In this current league, you can put on an enchant, which gives you increased fizz damage, which is just free, so why not do it? So that's pretty easy. I'm just running Black Sun Crest with pretty high stats, +1 Socket of Gems, and then Socketed Skill Gems get a 90% cost and reservation multiplier. Pretty important in my opinion. 3 auras that I'm running that are attached to that is obviously Hatred, Precision, and Haste. Val Haste. Enlighten support just to get all of that further down. Omniscience, already showed that. I'm running Calandra's Touch, which is reflecting just a pretty average Ghoul Gyre or fucking Amethyst Ring. It's just stats and life. I mean, you can go for the mana if you want. You don't really need it. Non-channeling skills is kind of required. I believe you can also get that. Yeah, so mastercrafted from ailerons. So just go on TFT or not TFT, Co-Trade, and search for ailerons veiled. You can just literally search on ailerons until you get the non-channeling. Quiver, just a pretty standard quiver, running Beast Quill. I'm not even running an additional projectile on the quiver. I mean, you can if you want to really min-max. I don't feel like the build needs it for mapping. Just increased damage, life, elemental damage, attack speed, crit strike multiplier, and projectile speed. I mean, just halfway decent base. It's not great. It's not terrible. The gloves, chest, and boots are probably the most important. This is what makes the build function. What you're going to want to roll is fizz damage converted to cold damage on the implicit, and you also have to hit it on the affixes. Now, if you're just going for a copy 1-to-1, you can go with a hybrid roll. I mean, I did evasion armor bases because some of them are pretty high and pretty cool. Currently, this league, it's very easy to get evasion cap and armor cap with these new bases, and we basically get to wear them for free because of omniscience. But yeah, to craft these, it's pretty simple. I just went for a Chaos Res pre-fractured, just because I mean, we're basically at res cap. We're at 71. Not great, not terrible. You can get something better with the cluster jewels, but anyway, you go for Chaos Res, and then you slam with speed essences until you hit T1 spell suppression. It doesn't have to be T1 necessarily, but you at least have to have 2 out of 3 of these to be T1. The other one could be T2 if you want. Should be able to still be at spell suppression cap. You might need to define to reach it, but I mean it's just safer to go for spell suppression chance. It's like a 1 in 80, so it's not that big a deal. Once that's done, the suffixes are pretty much locked. So you'll just go into your stash. You will go for like a greater eldritch on the base. Just leave. I mean, if you have lesser on there for the eldritch, whatever. But you want to do greater eldritch, and then what you can do is use veiled or not veiled chaos. You can use eldritch chaos orbs and eldritch annul orbs. Basically, what I did was I went over to the crafting bench and I added like maximum, I believe, armor, like it's just standard armor. Let me check. Armor. Yeah, just like standard armor and evasion if you want. Don't do the percent increase because that's what you want to roll for. So you're just blocking like armor. When you block that, you can spam exalts. If you don't get any of the rolls that you want, then you can just use the eldritch. You can use an eldritch chaos orb if it fills, and you can use an eldritch annul if you hit something you like and just kind of 50-50. I got pretty lucky, but you know it's not the best. So once you get like 1 or 2 of the mods that you really want, which is what I did, you'll do suffixes cannot be changed, and then slam it with a veiled orb. Now the gloves are probably the hardest thing to roll for because it's a 1 in 3 that you're gonna like remove like life or increased evasion rating or something like that. Um, and then it's also like a 1 in 3 if you hit a conversion mod to be convert to cold. You kind of need it to be convert to cold because that's the whole point of the build. But yeah, once that's done, if you like rolled over one of your mods that you wanted, which I did, I just crafted on increased evasion rating. So, or evasion, yeah, increased evasion rating because it's fine. It's not bad. It's not crazy. The armor is just a bonus. Um, the chest is probably the easier of the two to run or craft. The most important thing is make sure you have an eye level 86 base because you might make the same mistake I made where I was trying to uh, essence craft for T1 suppression and it wouldn't roll because it was an eye level 85 base. But yeah, just go for a eye level 86 base with a pre-fractured like dex roll or strength roll, one of the two, whatever. Uh, no big deal. You basically just want to do essences for increased mana reservation efficiency of skills until you land T1 spell suppression. T1 or T2, again. As long as 2 out of 3 of the pieces are T1, should be fine. But I just went for T1 because I wanted to min max. After that's done, same thing as before. I mean, your suffixes are complete. You can just put this guy up with Greater Eldritch or Grand or whatever, it doesn't matter. And then just do the same thing. I went for armor and evasion and life, which I rolled kind of low, but whatever. After that's done, craft suffixes can't be changed. And then 1 in 3, the Veiled Orb again, and what you want to go for is chance to avoid elemental ailments. You have to have elemental ailments here and on the boots to make this build ailment immune. I'm literally 100% ailment immune. I'm just there. I mean, you could technically like 101 or 102, but probably don't need to. After that, the boots are probably the easiest. They're just the most expensive. I think I paid 20 divine for this. It's a T1 chance to suppress spell damage craft, and then all you do is suffix, or you do the essence spam for chance to avoid elemental ailments till you hit like T1 dex or strength or whatever. Once that's done, cool. You could do the same thing from before where you're just slamming for increased evasion and armor and max life. And I crafted on increased move speed and chance to gain onslaught because I dropped an onslaught flask. You can go for just flat move speed or even try to roll it normally, but I like onslaught because it's just attack speed and movement speed. Obviously, 20% move speed's not great, but I mean, they're boots, whatever. After that part's done, the boots, the implicits are probably the more important part. You want to make sure you roll up to like perfect on the chance to avoid elemental ailments. It has to be perfect. So what you can do to do that is Orbs of Conflict with these guys. So let me see. Chance to avoid elemental ailments is Eater of Worlds. So I rolled with Grands until I reached chance to avoid elemental ailments, and then I slammed on a perfect one of the Searing, and then you just Orb of Conflict until it goes up. It's not the best odds, but you kind of want the one you want to be slightly lower tier, and the one that you don't want to be higher tier. It's more likely to bring the lower one up, and then just kind of go up from there. And then you could just do on like action speed or something. That's pretty good. The chess piece not super important. These are still just greater for me because I don't feel like it's super mandatory to have like giga tier like high end on this stuff. You could go for like fizz to elemental conversion if you want here. I just like the hatred effect. So hatred effect, increased effect to non-aura skills. Nothing crazy. The gloves you don't have to roll a perfect on, which is nice because it's the only piece that doesn't really require that aside from the chest. But you do need to get 30% or up to 30% on cold conversion. Now, when we go into the tree, you're going to see some stuff, but I'll kind of go over that. So I'm just running Dying Sun, Granite Flask, Armor Effect, Evasion Effect, Jade Flask, Diamond Flask, Crit Chance Effect. And then I run Reduced Effective Curses and Increased Effect. I feel like Reduced Effective Curses is probably mandatory a lot of the time, just because when you're mapping, you don't really have to worry about that roll. Like any map that just like has players are affected by like so and so, just it doesn't matter as long as your flask is up. It's nice. Okay, so here is the tree. This is just a fairly standard tree. I'm running a Thread of Hope -10. These are really cheap this league. Honestly, a lot of the bases for like bow stuff is really cheap this league. This was like 37, I think 37 divine. You get the regular roll. Well, you can get the lower quality version for like 30 divine. And then the quiver, I think that was like only 2 div. It's like the bases that are fairly expensive, but I mean Headhunter's like 40 div right now. I bought it for like 100, so okay, so going over the tree again, nothing crazy. So we're just going with a Thread of Hope. I'm going for some good stuff here. So reservation efficiency, Harrier, hired killer, path of the hunter, finesse. Quick step is whatever. I can probably drop the move speed, but I like the move speed, so whatever. Aspect of the Lynx and Force of Nature, Master of Blades, Will of Blades, Blood Siphon. So nothing insane. Over here, we're running R's, have 10% increased effect, and then I'm running 2 tattoos with 5% chance to blind. I mean, probably just get away with 1, but it doesn't really matter. 10% chance to blind is just like more protection on your end, which is nice. Over here, we're just running the attack mastery to gain an additional proj because it's basically free. I mean, 4 points for an additional proj, amazing. Monsters can't block your attacks; it just makes them fall over easier. Heartseeker, Fervor, and then this is a lethal pride, so you can probably get these for incredibly cheap. It's literally not even that special of a lethal pride. It is a, let me see here. I should have one. Yeah, I have 5% chance to deal double damage. That's it. Everything else is like fairly simple. Attack damage leeches life, which don't even need. Oh, okay, so I'm sorry. This is 5% chance to deal double damage, so 10% total. But you can probably get away with the 5 and still be fine. I mean, we're just mapping, no big deal. I'm running life mastery. Skills cost life instead of 15% of mana cost, so that just helps bring your tornado shot further down. So I'm 11 mana and 7 life, so nice. Primeval forces, attributes mastery, because you're going to be running this node anyway. I mean, it's might as well get an extra, however many attributes on that is. Now the cluster jewels, fairly simple. Just chaos res, increased damage, all elemental, 35% increased effect. The reason we do that is because Omni, even with the amount of Omni I have, I'm just barely over cap. And you want to be like, I think it's like 90% over the cap to not have to worry about the elemental ailments one. So you're not ever like below by just default. But nothing crazy, just good jewel. We're running Forbidden Flame, Verdant Flesh. Now these are insanely cheap this league. Like these used to be very expensive, but you can get them for like almost fucking nothing. Like 3 divine for this one, This one is like 1 divine, and it's just like ricochet. I mean, there might be a variant that's cheaper. You just want to make sure that on your master you at least have like these guys. These are important. Uh, but the little nodes don't matter as much, obviously. You can be picky about it if you want. Over here, again, we're just running increased crits and an additional arrow, free arrow. Increases in reduction to projectile speed also apply to damage to bows, obviously, because we're going to be running like quivers that give us projectile speed. So cool, just free damage. All the way up here, running an unnatural instinct. You can tattoo some of these if you want. I haven't, just because like my res is so close to being, below cap. But this is just this. It's huge. Like look at everything you gain from that. You can run the increased global critical strike chance if you want, but I mean it's not mandatory. I just went with it because more crit. Yippee! And then down here, this is fairly simple. So feed the fury, fuel the fight, martial prowess, and then 2% more just elemental res. These nodes are basically mandatory because you don't really get mana very easily. You don't really get life very easily unless you have these. And then this is just extra shit. So nothing insane. I mean, damage from ailments. Now I'm also running 2 repeater streamlines on here because I feel like this is mandatory. Like it's just huge damage. I mean, why would you not? Again, you can change this around a little bit so that little node has something different. I mean, this one's not huge, but other than that, those are mandatory. So now, here's the deal. You can do kind of a budget variation of this if you drop one of these clusters and you don't want to run like a good Watcher's Eye. I feel like you should do it this way because if you don't get the rest of your conversion from the Watcher's Eye, which I am, so 40% is converted to cold while affected by hatred. That's where I'm getting all of my conversion. You can do this node to get your conversion, 40% here, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes saved by going that route, which opens you up to another one of these guys. Now, something that is mandatory is corrupted blood cannot be inflicted upon you. You can literally roll this on any base. I just went for extra life and crit chance. Cold damage is good, but the bleed duration doesn't really do anything at all. Like that's a do nothing perk. Nothing's gonna hit you pretty much. But you want corrupted blood cannot be inflicted upon you strictly because in our auras we're running automation connected to. Let me find it. Steel Skin, which gives us immunity to bleeding, so you don't have to run a life flask. We're getting all of our life from leeching. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Now the gem links here, again, nothing insane. It's just a level 21 20 tornado shot. You could probably do a level 20, but it's just extra scaling, so it's free. Increased critical damage, just level 20. Awaken Vicious Proj. I feel like Vicious Proj could be swapped out for Mirage Archer if you want. I don't see the point. I like Vicious Proj because it's more damage. Awaken Fork because we're already going to be chaining, so you can chain and fork at the same time and get more damage. You want to run Awakened because it's just more damage. Inspiration support, really good. You're going to be spending a lot of mana. You're going to be doing a lot of damage, so cool. Awaken elemental damage with attack supports. So now, technically, your main skill is Reflect Immune, but since we're running like Mana Forge with a weird setup here, if you run into a map that you're not elemental Reflect Immune, you probably just want to make sure you're not doing Reflect maps. Just that's the basic concept. Auras already showed that, and light supports, automation, steel skin, and then Grace, Val Grace. It's really good. And then I'm running life tap with Sniper's Mark, Mark on hit, and dash. Now you're not always going to be getting life tap up, but when it is up, it's saving you a lot of mana, especially on Sniper's Mark. So that's well worth it. Now that's the build. Again, it's nothing insane, but it's not a budget build. You are going to be spending probably a couple hundred divine on the bases, and then probably a couple hundred divine just rolling them. So I mean, all of this is self-craftable. So don't feel discouraged in that matter. Like if you can't find these for a good price, I'm sure these are expensive. I haven't price checked my rolls, but if you can't find them for a good price, they're self-craftable. You can go a different route if you want, but I felt like this was the most simplistic way. You can go with pure evasion bases if you want. I prefer armor because at the end of the day, when something is going to hit you, I would rather have a little bit of armor than none at all because that's what makes you explode. Yeah, that's kind of the build. I don't really have anything else to say. You can do things a little differently if you want to go with like a mage blood build. You can you basically just drop the headhunter and go for like insane flasks instead. Um, yeah, have fun. Hopefully you can put this together for fairly cheap. Um, don't have a budget version. It's just not a budget version for Tornado Shot. Don't even think about it. See you later.